everyone, it's Jacqueline for Pixie Dust PhD. When you're going to Walt Disney World, you absolutely don't have to stay at an on-property hotel. That is one that's owned and operated by Disney. You can stay at an off-site hotel instead. There are, however, a few drawbacks to doing that, so today let's go over the differences between staying on-site and off-site during your Walt Disney World trip. In my opinion, the biggest difference between staying on-site and off-site at Walt Disney World is the cost. You are often going to save a ton of money if you choose to stay at an off-site hotel. For example, in my last trip to Walt Disney World, my party and I were comparing staying at a value resort on Walt Disney World property or a Disney Springs area hotel resort that is technically off-site. The All-Star value resorts were routinely over $140 a night, and that was for 2 double beds. In contrast, almost all the Disney Springs areas hotels were much less than that per night and guaranteed us 2 queen beds. Additionally, many of the off-site property hotels that are comparable in price to value resorts will feel more like a moderate resort, so you're getting nicer amenities for about the same cost as a lower level on-property resort. While value resorts are the most cost-efficient hotel on Walt Disney World property, they certainly aren't a steal. You're never going to find them for $60 or $70 a night. The price of a room at a value resort varies. This of course tracks with occupancy, which also tracks with season, so how high the crowds are at the parks. If you go at a lower season time, your hotel prices will likely also be lower. When you stay at an off-property resort though, you are giving up some of your perks. You really aren't in that full immersive Disney bubble anymore. For example, depending on where you're staying, you may not have free transportation to and from the parks, whereas at all Walt Disney World hotels, you will have free transportation to and from the theme parks. Furthermore, if you're staying off-site, you won't have access to the Magical Express bus. This is that free transportation to and from MCO Airport. Additionally, you won't be provided magic bands for free. And of course, you can purchase magic bands and link them to your My Disney account, then use those as your park tickets and entry to your fast passes, but you won't be able to charge things back to your hotel room with your magic band like you could if you were staying on property. There are a few off-site hotels in the Disney Springs area that are sort of a middle ground. You don't get all of the benefits of staying on-site, but you do get some of them. You can check these out at DisneySpringsHotels.com. For example, if you're staying at one of these official Disney Springs areas hotels, some of the perks you'll enjoy are access to extra magic hours, some free transportation to and from the parks. Your fast pass window will be that 60 days in advance plus the first 10 days of your trip. In my opinion, these are some of the key perks of staying on-site at Walt Disney World, especially that 60-day fast pass window. We talked about your eligible booking window in another video, so go ahead and check that out if you have questions. Naturally, if you're staying off-site but not at one of these official Disney Springs areas hotels, you won't get these in-between perks. You won't have access to extra magic hours, and you won't get those critical booking windows for your fast passes. If you're staying off-site and you're planning on bringing your own car or renting a car and driving to the parks, you're going to have to pay for parking at the parks. Whether or not you'll have to pay for parking at your hotel is up to the hotel's discretion, and depending on your loyalty status, that may or may not change, but you definitely will have to pay for parking at the parks. If you're staying on property at Walt Disney World and you have your car or a rental car and you're driving to parks, you do not have to pay for parking at the parks as a Walt Disney World hotel guest. At an off-site hotel, you won't be able to book a Magic Your Way package. This is a package offered to Walt Disney World hotel guests where you can bundle your hotel room, your park tickets, as well as the Disney dining plan. That means, yes, if you're staying off-site, you won't be able to access the Disney dining plan. Theming at off-site hotels, of course, varies, but it's generally going to be much less Disney than at an on-site hotel. Now, for some people, that might be a perk. You may enjoy coming back to your hotel and having a bit of a respite from the Disney overload. For others, especially for families, it may take away from a bit of the magic of your experience. And generally speaking, off-site hotels are going to be further away from the action than your on-site hotels. Disney was smart, of course, and uses the land closest to their parks for their on-site properties. On the positive side of staying off-site, if you have brand loyalty at a certain chain of hotels, there are a lot of great options nearby where you can earn points or redeem your points. And depending on your status, there may be extra perks like free breakfast or waived resort fees or waived parking fees at this off-site location. Notably, the Swan Hotel and the Dolphin Hotel near Epcot and Hollywood Studios are actually Marriott hotels, so that's a very popular choice for folks with Marriott brand loyalty. Another positive is that off-property locations are often a little bit more flexible and can cater to your party's needs better. For example, if you have a large party, it may make sense for you just to rent a vacation home instead of booking several rooms on property. Many vacation rentals also come with free access to a fully equipped kitchen and potentially free laundry. These extra amenities may suit your party's need better than an on-property hotel. On my last trip to Walt Disney World, I went with 3 friends. We ended up staying at the DoubleTree in Disney Springs. Now, this is an official Disney Springs area hotel, so we did get the extra perks like the extended fast pass booking window, free transportation to the parks, and access to extra magic hours. Because I have brand loyalty with Hilton, including one of their premier credit cards, I have a $250 resort credit that counted at this DoubleTree. Our hotel stay was 5 nights. The total for this was around $1,100. When you subtract out my $250 resort credit and then divide the remainder by 4 people, we each only ended up paying around $215 for our hotel accommodations. We were really happy with the DoubleTree as a nice middle ground, especially because as for adults, all of the rooms at DoubleTrees are suites. So it was 540 square feet with a living room and a separate bedroom that had 2 queen beds. We were tracking prices for the value resorts, including all of the All-Stars, and they all hovered around $170 to $210 a night. This would have come out to about $250 per person. So not significantly more by any means, but definitely more, and it was in consideration. The main factor for us, though, was the space. Having 540 square feet was huge, and also 2 queen beds rather than potentially getting 2 double beds. Now, once the All-Stars are done with their refurbishment and everything will be 2 queen beds, that will be less of a concern. But it still is going to be 2 queen beds in a relatively small room. On average, you're talking about 260 square feet, which can start to feel a little cramped over time. Having the space for all 4 of us to sprawl out was really great after a long day at the parks. And after this 5-night stay, I was credited with 60,000 points to my Hilton account, which I can use for our next Walt Disney World vacation. Another perk of brand loyalty, and especially with Hilton, is there are sometimes deals when you book on points. So at Hilton, if you stay for 5 nights on points, you only owe the amount of 4 nights worth of points, essentially getting your 5th night free. And while we didn't do that this trip, it's definitely a valuable option. You could end up staying 6 or 7 nights at Walt Disney World and having 5 of those covered by points that you've previously earned. This can be a huge cost savings if you're able to pay for your hotel primarily with points. Overall, off-property hotels really just lack a convenience that the on-property hotels boast. You are not encapsulated in that Disney bubble. The main attraction, though, is bang for your buck. And given how expensive a vacation to Walt Disney World is, this may be a serious consideration for you. I thought that staying at a Disney Springs area hotel was a great compromise between staying on property and staying off property. Yes, it is off property, but you do enjoy some of the most crucial perks in my opinion, such as access to extra magic hours and that extended fast pass booking window. You do still save a significant amount of money though by staying off-site. Have you ever stayed off property during your Walt Disney World vacation, and would you recommend it to folks? Let people know in the comments down below. If you found this discussion helpful, I hope you'll like the video and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to ring the bell icon to get notifications whenever new videos are posted. Let me know what you decide for your next Walt Disney World trip. Are you going to stay on-site or off-site? And until then, see you real soon at Pixie Dust PhD.